You're listening to Candy Gunn's Rock Show. Get ready for 1 hour of high-octane audio stimulation.
I never try anything. I just do it.
You're listening to Candy Gunn's Rock Show. I've got a great guest with me today, Steve Catt, last of the Misfit Heroes. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Doing all right. I've been playing this Misfit Misplaced song. Why don't you tell me about that song?
This song is the title track from our new EP, which we released on the 1st of April. It's a funny song, really. We were talking about this the other day with the rest of the band, but basically it's one of the first songs we wrote when we got together, probably April last year. Mm-hmm. And it didn't really come together until we sort of sat down and started talking about what we wanted to put on the EP. And then from there we wrote some lyrics, and yeah, it's sort of become a bit of a favourite now. And the voice in the beginning, that's my daughter. She got involved as well. The song itself is pretty much what it's like being a misfit, really. Like the whole idea of not fitting in and being in a position where you're not really sure who you are or where you are, and it's quite appropriate, I think, for what's going on in the world at the moment.
Absolutely, it's definitely fitting. Tell the listeners about the last of the Misfit Heroes. Tell us about the band, how you guys came up with that name, how you guys got together.
So we've been going about a year now, started April last year, and the band's made up of myself. I'm vocalist and guitarist, and then on the bass is Ange Jackman. He's an old school friend. I've known him since we were 5, so we've been together a long time, and we played in other bands, and we sort of grew up together playing guitar at the same time, things like that. And on drums is my cousin Chris, and yeah, it's his first proper band, really, and he's a great little drummer, and between the three of us it's going quite well at the moment. We're quite enjoying it. So the whole idea of the Misfit Heroes, and really where the title came from, I mean, we've talked about it quite a lot in interviews and stuff, but basically the whole idea of the Misfit Heroes came together after I had a few issues with my own mental health, and part of me sorting myself out was to sort of realise that music was an important part of my life, and I've done good things in it before, but never really pushed it to where I wanted it to go. So the whole idea of this band is just to really enjoy the part of the music, that writing, performing, and just being in a band, really, and just keeping all the good parts. That's where that comes from. And the idea of being a misfit hero really is the whole thing of not fitting in and not really understanding who you are, but at the same time recognising that and realising that, you know, it's okay to feel like that, really. And the whole idea of the band is we're just trying to be as creative as we can. And I think with the videos as well, we've got a couple of videos for 2 of the songs. Again, with that, it's all been creative. They're quite sort of out there videos. One's got quite a lot of animation. The other one is us dressed up in steampunk gear and things like that. So we're just pushing ourselves creatively, really. So from there, we've recorded the EP earlier this year, in January, released it in April. And the idea is we're going to finish off an album's worth of material in August, depending on how everything goes with the lockdown and everything. So hopefully by the end of the year, a full album will be out there. And hopefully as well, we'll be able to sort of gig and promote it.
Well, you got a great method. I'm going to call this creative therapy, because mental health is a very serious issue, especially in the world today.
Definitely.
And it is something that it shouldn't be ignored at all.
No. And from my own experience, I think, like I say, I hit quite a big patch this time last year, and basically I had to start again. You know, my whole thinking of who I was and everything I've sort of been through. And what I've realised is everyone's mental health is so different, and I think that's what makes it difficult. For one person, something might affect one person, but it won't affect someone else, and there's so many things that overlap. And I think what I found with music, definitely, like I say, is a creative therapy, and it gives me the chance and gives just to be able to release it. And even like now, just talking, having the chance to be able to talk to you about music and the band, that's getting it out of my system, which it is a positive. I mean, it's something I wouldn't wish on anyone. Like you say, it is a real serious issue, especially if you're not aware of it. And I think that's a lot of the problem, is people aren't aware of it. You know something's not right, but you just don't really understand what it is, and you don't know who to go to or what to do. And for me personally, when I realised I needed help and I had to go to a doctor and I had to, you know, face up to the fact that there was something seriously wrong, that then takes it into a whole different ballgame, if you like, where you're going from your normal, what you thought was normal, and what you'd been doing every day up to that point. It takes you into a whole different area. For me, it was probably the best thing I did was to sort of say, put my hands up and say I've got a problem, sort of thing. But I've spoken to people before, they accept they've got a problem, but they don't want to talk about it. Everyone is so different.
People can go through the same situation at the exact same time and suffer consequences differently.
Yes, definitely.
If my mind can get me here, my mind will get me out.
Yep.
So
you're spot on. And I think from my point of view, there was nothing major, or there didn't seem to be anything major that was like one thing. But being able to look back from where I was, there's a whole lot of things, small things, which I wasn't happy with, I never dealt with. And it just built up and built up and built up. And then it just got to the point one day where my mind said, look, I've given you enough warnings here. You're not taking any notice. I'm just shutting down, basically. Like you say, everyone's experience is different and people react in different ways. I think the most important thing, really, is being able to talk to it. Like we're having a conversation now. And I think that's probably the most important thing.
You made a great point on that, because it's not just necessarily a situation that may happen once and all of a sudden you're diagnosed with something. For me, it was many years of abusive household, that kind of thing.
Right.
And one day something just triggers, it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. So there's a point where, there's a wake-up call, and you have to heed to that call. Yeah. And that happens to be one of the songs off of this, Misfit Misplaced, Wake Up Call.
Actually, that was the first song I wrote for the last Misfit Heroes, and that was written about a year ago when I was going through all this. And basically, it's me telling myself, there's a line in there about, we're breaking down, but it's okay, we're breaking down. And I needed to get out, really. So, yeah, that's definitely where that song's come from. And, yeah, this band, like I was saying about therapy, for me, it's been great just to get the words out of my head and write them down and just get it released. If you look at my life before all this happened, I mean, I was actually playing in a band. I was sort of functioning daily. The band I was playing in was as creative as this band, and there's a lot of built-up frustration, I suppose, with how the band was going. And my life in general was one massive frustration, and I didn't really understand what was happening. And I thought I was doing all the right things. And I mean, I can still remember the morning it sort of happened, and I just started a new job. And I think, like we were saying about the straw, the final straw, I think I just started a new job, and that was the thing that broke the camel's back, if you like. That was the one that. And then I just couldn't cope. And I think I had a mixture of things with depression and anxiety and things like that. I understand now what sets off the anxiety, and I think my anxiety comes from not dealing with my depression. And so if I can stay on top of my depression, my anxiety seems I can control it. But again, the only reason I've sort of got to this point is that I basically took 8 months off from working and reset myself and just went from nothing, if you like, but just starting again. And I gave myself that time. And I think the problem a lot of people have nowadays is you just haven't got the time to do that.
Don't ever say that you're not okay, because it's okay.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel these things. I do want to say, Steve, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. And of course, we're going to catch up again.
Yeah, definitely.